Hi everyone, welcome back to IT and Psychology YouTube channel. Today we are going to continue with our series for IT 12th grade. Today we are going to start with meta tag, that's 1.3. Yeah, so before we do that, we should take a quick revision of what we had learned in the last lecture. We started with the introduction for advanced web designing. Then we continued to learn a few advanced input elements. Here, the first one gives us a color picker. The second one defines a field for entering a number, a numerical value. The third one gives us a URL. This actually defines a field for entering a URL. The next one is input type for an image. This defines an image as a submit button. So instead of having the submit text as a submit button, you could actually make an image function as a submit button. The next one gives us input type equals to date. This defines a date picker within the year, month and day. So you could keep any date. Input type equals to email. This defines a field for an email address. This is restricted to only an email address that can be input in the form. The next one gives us input type equals to month. This defines a month and year control in format is quadruplet capital Y dash double capital M. Here you could input the year and then you could input the month in two digits. The next one gives us input type equals to range. This defines a range control. Its default range is 0 to 100. So the next one gives us date and time dash local. This defines a date picker that we learned previously that includes a year, month, day and additionally the time. The next one gives us input equals to time. This defines a control for entering a time. The next one gives us input type equals to week. This defines a week and year control. The next one gives us input type equals to search. This defines a text field for entering a search string like a site search or Google search. The next one is input type equals to file. This defines a file select field and a browse button for file uploads. So you can get a detail of the file uploads that are very recent. The next one gives us input type equals to tel. This is used to define input fields that should contain a telephone number. For example, the first digits, we get the first digits of our the telephone number that is for India, that is +91, and then you have the rest of the 10 digits that you have to put in from 0 to 9. The next one is input restrictions. These are a list of some common input restrictions that are given below. A few of these could be used for validation purpose as well. The first one gives us disabled. This specifies an input field should be disabled permanently. Max. This specifies the maximum value for an input field. So if you input a number, here this field will give us the maximum value for an input field. The next one is minimum. Min. This specifies the minimum value for an input field. Pattern. This specifies a regular expression to check the input values. So this is just like a checking function. The next one is read only. This specifies that an input field is read only, cannot be changed. So this is permanent and this can't be changed by the person who is writing the form and has written the value once. Placeholder. This acts as a temporary label showing the purpose of a text field without requiring a label tag. Required. This specifies that an input field is required, must be filled out. For example, if you see the Google Forms, whenever you see an asterisk in front of the field, the input field, that shows us that that is required to be filled out. The next one gives us autocomplete. Specifies whether a form or input field should have an autocomplete on or off. So this is a pre-decided value for that input field that could be switched on or off. Autofocus. This specifies that the input field should automatically get focused when the page loads. So this will have the highest what do you call it, focus when you enter the web page. The next one is height and width. This specifies the height and width of an input equals to image. So this specifies the height and width of the input type we learned here previously. Yeah. So the next one is multiple. This specifies that the user is allowed to enter more than one value in the input element. This works with input types like email and file. Some other useful attributes used with input are the ID. This is used to identify the HTML element uniquely through document object. So this is a helping hand. And the next one is class. It is used to apply CSS style to the individual input element. The next one, here we have a solved example. If you have followed me on Telegram, I have already sent the solved example as a .html file. Please check it out, as it is there in the description of the first video that I've put on the YouTube channel. And the input, the output might be a little different because of the browser difference. So please check it out. Today we will continue with 1.3, that's the meta tag. I previously explained the meta tag. We were about to start with the attributes of meta tag, which are important, and you'll get to know how they are important in the further solved examples. The first one, name. The value of the name attribute can be related to any of the following. That gives us the author, description, keywords, and copyright. An example has been given here that shows us meta name and the value, that is author. Description of this is that this specifies the name of the meta tag and the metadata like the author, keywords, or description. So the 4 pointers given here are the values that you have to put as the metadata here. The next one gives us content. Its values are, it can have any textual matter related to its name, to the name, as an example. Meta name is equal to author, and content gives us the value. It can be any text you want to put in. The next one gives us the next description for the content you have to put in, and the third one gives us the keywords you have to put in for the content you are going to put in the next line. Here the description gives us, here the content of author is Balbharti. The value for content attribute specifies the name of the topic, advanced web designing. Here the values attribute are given as keywords like HTML5, learn HTML5, etc. So the content is actually the further elaboration of the meta name you have provided before the content. The next is charset, CHARSET. This gives us it has this two values, capital U, capital T, capital F, -8, comma, big 5. Example here is meta charset is equals to the first value. The meta charset is equal to the second value, big 5. This specifies the character encoding used by the document. This is also called a character encoding declaration. So The actual meaning of the values has been provided to us in the description. UTF-8 for Indian characters, Big 5 for Chinese characters. The next one gives us HTTP-EQUIV. I'm sorry if I could not pronounce that. So let's continue with the values. Refresh, set cookie, content type expires. For example, meta HTTP equiv equals to refresh, content gives us 5. So here the page will refresh every 5 seconds. The next one gives us HTTP equiv equals to set cookies. The browser here sends the cookies back to the server. The next one gives us meta HTTP equiv equals to content type. The content is text/HTML, the charset being big 5. This specifies the character encoding for the document. Further examples provide us with what all input details have to be put in. If proper practice is done, this will help in a lot of things in the future, as you might find it in the next solved example. Here is the solved example. Please contact me on Telegram in the group I've provided, or contact me personally at Dave Mahe on my Telegram account, so that I can provide you with the possible output of this solved example. Next we have here is cascading style sheets in HTML. CSS stands for cascading style sheets. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen paper or in other media. So just imagine HTML5 being your raw data. CSS brings actual meaning to it by formatting in types you want. Like CSS helps you change the properties, values, fonts, weight, height, width, and etc. It's a huge array of details you can add to your raw data in HTML web pages. CSS allows you to control the look and feel of several pages by changing a single source. So just imagine as CSS being the backbone will affect every part of the body being our HTML file. So the backbone has to be thoroughly checked, and the backbone, if even small changes done to the backbone, the whole body feels it. CSS syntax. A CSS rule set contains a selector and a declaration block. Here we have an example where we have been highlighted with the selector, declaration box, and the properties and values in the declaration form. Different properties are separated with a semicolon, and the value of the property is given to us using a colon, and they are all closed with a curly bracket. Here the selector indicates the HTML element you want to style. It could be any tag like the h1 tag, the body tag, and etc. Declaration block. The declaration block contains one or more declarations separated by a semicolon. For the above example, there are two declarations: the color colon yellow, semicolon font dash size colon 11 pixels. Here this shows a proper example of how your declaration block should function and how it should be altered to have a proper output. The next one gives us property. A property is a type of attribute of HTML element. It could be color, border, etc. So any property you want to change, alter, you could mention it here and the value you want to change it to. Values are assigned to CSS properties. In the above example, value yellow is given to the color property. Selector Here see, here the format is given of how you need to input your syntax. The next subtopic we have here is types of CSS. There are three methods of implementing styling information to an HTML document. The three are inline CSS, embedded style sheet or internal CSS, and the third one being external CSS. Inline style sheet, it uses the style attribute in the HTML start tag. Inline CSS is used to apply CSS on a single line or element. Like we have an example here. This has been input, the style has been input in the paragraph tag, the P tag. Here the style is set as, the style here is set as being our property being color and blue being our value. And then it is closed, say, and here the value being the text being formatted is hello CSS and etc. The second type being embedded style sheet or internal CSS. This is used to apply CSS on a single document or page. It can affect all elements of the page. It is written inside the style sheet within the head section of HTML. Here we have another example, a solved example with the output given. Here the heading has been altered. Here the text is turned red, and yeah, the paragraph will not be affected as it has not been included in the style. Here we have an array of CSS properties that we have learned before also, a few actually. Color property, this changes the color of the text. The value here given is the color name. For example, we have here blue, that is the value of the property. Here an example has been given. Please do try this. Type something in the HTML tag, make a heading, enter this and see the change. Background color. This is used to set the background color of your web page. The value here is color name again. An example has been given here. Please do try. The next one is font weight. This is used to bold the text. Here the value is bold or the scale you want to put it to, like 100, 200 or 900. So a huge array has been provided. Here an example has been given. The next one is font style. This is used to italicize text. The value here that can be given is italic, oblique or normal. So you can set the value for as either 3. This example has been given. This is actually a text style. Please try, as it is there and the font is there in the name. The next one is text decoration. This property is used to add strike through marks, underline, overstrike, or to remove underlines from the links. The value here are line through, underline, overline and none. Here a few examples have been given. Please do try in your solved examples. Just replace the name, just replace the name of the values and you'll see the change immediately. The next one is text align. This property is used to control the horizontal alignment of any block level text that are paragraphs, tables and other elements. The value provided here is left, right, center or justify. The example has been given here as center. Please try the rest of the 3. Font family. This is used to control the fonts. For example, you set it as Arial or what do you call it? Times New Roman and etc. Here see Arial has been provided to us as the value of the property. The next property we have here is font size. This property allows you to control the size of the font. The value given here are pixels, inches, millimeters, centimeters, and points. For example, here the font size has been given as 10 pixels. You could change it and do whatever you like. The next one given here is letter spacing. The use of this helps in controlling the horizontal spacing between the characters of the text. So this helps you in controlling the spacing. So you can alter the spacing between the text, and you can actually set it as like Dave and etc. So you could decide what length you have to keep in between them as a separation in a value like 5 points, 10 points, 3 pixels, 4 inches, etc. The next one given here is padding. This property is used when you want to add padding that are blank spaces around the content of an element. The value given for this is pixels. The padding here could be added for 30 pixels, 60 pixels, as you may. The next one given here is border. This property adds a border to a web page element. The value can be given as solid, double, groove, ridge, inset, outside, dotted or dashed. So you can actually alter what kind of borders you want for the web page element or the text or a table. See, here we have been given with an example as the border being green in color. The next one gives us background image. This is used to set an image as the background of your web page. Here you could set the value as the URL, and in the brackets you could have X, that is actually the file path of the image where the image has been saved. The next one, the examples have been given. Please try, as this will give you a proper overview of what we have learned previously and a proper knowledge of the web designing we have learned in 11th grade should be known before we start advanced web designing. The next one gives us margin dash left. The use of this is that this sets the margin area on the left side of the element. The value here would be pixels, points, centimeter, and etc. So the margin can be put to at any value from the left. The next one we have here is external style sheet. That is the third type of our CSS. The external style sheet is generally used when you want to make changes on multiple pages. It facilitates to change the look of the entire web page by changing just one file. It uses the link tag on every page, and the link tag should be put inside the head section. So the link tag here is restricted only to the head section, and one file could change the entire look of the website. Like I said, backbone. Here we have been provided with a solved example. Here there is some text left, sorry. An external style sheet can be written in any text editor and must be saved with a .css extension. The external CSS file should not contain any HTML tags. Here is how the style sheet.css file looks like. Here we have been provided with one of the styles, and here there is a solved example which we have an output of as well. Please try practicing this. For today we are going to be continuing with CSS ID selector, and yeah, let's continue. The ID selector selects the ID attribute of an HTML element to select a specific element. An ID is always unique within the page, so it is a unique element. It is written with the hash character followed by the ID name. Here we have been provided with one example, and the output follows as well. CSS class selector. The class selector selects HTML elements with a specific class attribute. It is used with a period character, that is a dot, the full stop symbol, followed by the class name. The class selector is used when you want to change a group of elements within your HTML page, within the number. Let's take an example with a class intro. Here we have a few examples. Yeah, one example actually. You could try this, and if you want a separate solved examples output, you could contact me on Telegram, as the link will be in the description. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Next we have here the class selector for specific element. To specify only one specific HTML element should be affected, then you should use the element name with the class selector. This has been explained in the next example, p.intro. Yeah, so the output is there as well. Next we have here a universal selector. The universal selector is used as a wildcard character. It selects all the elements on the web pages, just like a control A function. We have the output here as well. Next we have here is the group selector. The grouping selector is used to select all the elements with the same style definitions. It is used to minimize the code. Commas are used to separate each selector in the grouping. Let's see the CSS code without the group selector. See, this actually helps because we have to put 3 different codes, whereas in a group selector all the 3 could be put together just to save space and efforts. As you can see, you need to define the CSS properties for all the elements. It can be grouped as h1, h2, p, and the style continues. So here, instead of acting different selectors, you could act the selectors using commas, and the declaration part could be added only once, whereas in the above example you have to add it thrice, and it's a lot of effort. Then next let's see the full code as follows. So here the group selector has been used, so this actually saves efforts. Then the next subtopic we have here is positioning in CSS. CSS helps to position the HTML elements. The position property is used to set position for an element. The element can be positioned using the top, bottom, left and right properties. The syntax given here for the positioning gives us the example given here. Selector and the format, positioning, the value, the top, and then we have top, then value, left, then value. There is a error here. Here I think there should be a semicolon instead of a colon. So please change it in your textbooks as well, because as you might remember, between different properties there is supposed to be a semicolon, and as this is not the same property, a semicolon is required here instead of a colon. Where values in positions are fixed, absolute, relative, and values of top, bottom, left, right are in pixels. The next one we have here, the next subtopic we have here is there are 4 types of positioning in CSS. So we should stop here. We'll continue the 4 types of positioning in CSS in the next video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Your support would mean a lot to me. Thank you for being a lovely audience.